Howdy everyone, welcome to today's video on Nebraska and the 2026 Primary Election Analysis Series. Every U.S. state has different rules, procedures, and voting days for their primary election. These rules change over time, all adding to the complexity of our primary election process. The goal of this series is to help educate my fellow Americans on this information as best I can. Trump and the Epstein class continue to destroy our world, and our Congress is still spineless and complicit. They should be calling for impeachment. Every member in the House has the ability to do so under Rule 9, as explained here further on the Citizens Impeachment website. Impeachment is the first responsibility of a brand new Congress, followed by abolishing ICE and prosecuting everyone responsible for their crimes against humanity. These are requirements to be a secular lefty-approved candidate. The candidates I spotlight in this series must demonstrate they sincerely believe and will fight for at least one of the policies listed, and support for more obviously being preferred. For the 2026 midterms, as long as our current Congress remains spineless, the first priority I want to hear out of every Democratic candidate or any independent or third-party candidate, party doesn't matter, the message does. And that message better be to impeach Trump and abolish ICE. That's not the full message. Each candidate should of course have their own additional campaign messaging after that, but it must start with impeach Trump and abolish ICE. When looking for candidates to support, it can be difficult. Time is limited, and billions of dollars are being spent through shell companies purchasing advertisements to influence the outcome of these elections. These groups listed here can be trusted, and I recommend. There are organizations that I refer to when deciding which candidates to approve for this series. I am not affiliated with any organization listed here, nor with any candidate I endorse. Simply, I want to see our country improve. With the information provided in these videos, I hope it helps guide voters in the correct direction instead of continuing to vote against our own interests and electing Epstein-class puppets. Let's now discuss the state of Nebraska, their primary election process, and what candidates, if any, are secular lefty approved. Nebraska is a smaller state with a population just under 2 million. This population size gives them 3 House seats, along with their 2 senators and governor. Every seat is currently Republican-controlled. My condolences to the people of Nebraska. But it doesn't have to stay that way. If you are a voter in Nebraska, you can change things for the better, if you vote for the candidates working to make that happen. Here's how. The information provided from Ballotpedia here tells us that Nebraska primary rules vary by the office, adding more complexities to these elections. State law allows the political parties to determine what voters may participate in their primary. Republicans decided on closed primaries, while the Democratic Party went slightly more Democratic with semi-closed primaries. What this means, starting with closed primaries, is you have to be registered with the party. Closed primaries silence voices of independents and other non-affiliated voters. While you may not want to register with a party in closed primary states, this is what is required for you to vote in these primary elections. The Democrats went with a semi-closed primary process, meaning if you are not registered as a Democrat, as long as your registration is unaffiliated with any other party, you can still vote in the Democratic primary. While I understand why a political party should have the right to have closed primary elections to decide their candidates, most places won't have a third-party alternative to a candidate backed by the Epstein class if those candidates don't lose in their primary. The Epstein class has spent decades changing election rules and ballot access and debate access to make it difficult for progressives to win in the party or for independents to win outside of it. If we are going to improve lives, learning the system, participating, and backing candidates who want to improve lives is how we accomplish this. To win the primary elections, candidates need a plurality of votes with no minimum requirement. There will be no runoff elections for these candidates. They have one chance to convince voters they are the best candidate to represent their interests. In some races, there could be as many as 10 or more candidates running. The winning candidate that moves on to the general election may only need around 25% of the vote. But if that is the most of any candidate, then it's enough to win. If you are an eligible voter in Nebraska, this next bit of information is very important. This is from the National Conference of State Legislatures. If you are not registered to vote or want to switch party affiliation, you have 11 days before an election to do so in person. If you change it online, that ends earlier, at 18 days before the election. The election is May 12th, so you do the math and go get that voter registration sorted out. Participate in these primaries so there are better candidates to vote for in the November 3rd general election. We will now discuss those better candidates in Nebraska. As things are now, every representative in Nebraska should be replaced, ideally. Not only are they Republicans complicit in Trump's fascism and the crimes of the Epstein class, they are also providing money and support for Israel's genocides in the region. I am sure these large sums of money from pro-Israeli lobbies must just be a coincidence. Luckily, we have some good candidates to discuss. In the 1st District, Eric Moyer is running on Medicare for All and/or a public option. The wording there is a bit confusing, but moving on. He also supports a national $15 minimum wage tied with inflation and farming legislation such as the Farm Bill and right to repair legislation. These are topics that I don't often talk about, yet are issues of equal importance. We need farmers as part of the coalition against the Epstein class, and right to repair legislation is of importance to many farmers in this country. For those reasons, I hope to see Eric Moyer win the primary election in the 1st District. In 2024, the Dem lost the seat to the incumbent Mike Flood by about 20 points, or 60,000 votes. With the best candidate, with Eric Moyer, he just might be able to flip that seat. We'll see. Moving on to the 2nd District, this primary field is a bit more crowded with 7 candidates still in the running. After the losses in Illinois, I am looking at this race a little bit differently. There is a candidate with better policy positions on their webpage, but that is all the evidence the candidate has. They show no fundraising, no support from their local communities, no additional evidence to be a candidate worth spotlighting. The candidate I am selecting here as the secular lefty approved candidate for Nebraska's 2nd District is John Cavanaugh. He is a current state senator in Nebraska's 9th Senate District. While his webpage is not as inspiring as other approved candidates, he still addresses important policies and is a candidate refusing corporate PAC money. The persuading reason for backing John is on his endorsements page. He has many local groups and unions supporting him, but also it was the support of these 3 Congress members that motivated my decision. Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, and Greg Kaiser are all secular lefty approved members of Congress, as well as all of them being Justice Democrats. If these candidates are backing John, then so will I. Here's what concerns me. At the moment, none of the groups below have endorsed any candidates in Nebraska. If these Justice Democrat incumbents are endorsing John Cavanaugh, then I hope to see the Justice Democrats group, and hopefully others, endorse John Cavanaugh too. This district is incredibly winnable, especially as the incumbent Don Bacon is not seeking re-election, which at his young age of 62 I found quite surprising, but certainly welcomed. Here in 2024, the previous Democratic candidate only lost by 6,000 votes, just a little under 2% of the vote. As we have seen seats flip in districts held by Republicans of plus 10 to plus 30, now going to Democrats, I have a good feeling that the Democratic candidate will win this seat, whoever they are. What we need to avoid in this primary election is allowing another Epstein-class AIPAC puppet to win this seat. Democratic and independent voters in Nebraska's 2nd District, go support John Cavanaugh and vote for him on May 12th. Now, as inspiring as the situation is in the 2nd District, in the 3rd I got some bad news. It's lost. The seat is lost. I'm sorry. Not only is the Democratic Party candidate not inspiring and worth your time, the 2 independent candidates are also equally or more uninspiring to talk about. Also, these candidates, as they will now all be going into the November 3rd general election, have to campaign in a district that went 80-20 to the Republican. It might not be impossible, but I doubt any of the 3 challengers will unseat the Epstein-class incumbent Adrian Smith. On the other hand, voters in Nebraska's 3rd District, please prove me wrong. Please elect anyone other than Adrian Smith in the general election, but you'll have to research those other candidates more on your own. That just leaves us with the U.S. Senate seat. This one is an easy decision to make, even if it would normally upset the vote blue no matter who crowd. However, even the Nebraska Democratic Party is acknowledging the Democratic candidate still in the race, William Forbes, is a political maneuver engineered by Pete Ricketts to split the opposition vote and protect his Senate seat. Additionally, they said the Nebraska Democratic Party made a deliberate, principled decision not to field a candidate in the U.S. Senate race. We believe Dan Osborn, a veteran, a mechanic, a Nebraskan, and an independent voice, represents the best opportunity to defeat Pete Ricketts and deliver real results for working families. I couldn't agree more that Dan Osborn is the best candidate to defeat the Epstein class incumbent Pete Ricketts. Back in 2024, Dan Osborn almost defeated the geriatric Epstein class senator, Deb Fischer. The Democrats didn't have a candidate then either, and only 63,000 votes, about 7%, kept him out of the Senate. Don't make the same mistake twice in Nebraska. While I would like Osborn to support Medicare for all or some form of single-payer healthcare system, his policy page lists just about every other important policy to Nebraskans, which makes him the best choice for Senate in the November 3rd general election. His campaign page, along with all secular lefty-approved candidates, are listed in the video description. If this video is all the research you do and you just vote for the secular lefty-approved candidates, good. Not great, but you could be doing worse. What I hope this information serves as is a guide and a starting place for you to learn more about politics in your area. Our nation failed at keeping a fascist out of office. If we still have a nation with elections, then we better learn to elect better candidates to make sure this never happens again. As we go through this election cycle, there are some additional races I will mention in an attempt to bring more visibility to their campaigns. As this channel gains more subscribers and you share these videos on social media, it helps spread awareness about these campaigns and increases their chances of winning their primaries. I have 3 more candidates here. The first is Vance Bostic, running in New York's 8th District. Their candidate filing deadline closes on April 6th. So I hope he makes that ballot to give the voters in New York's 8th District a real choice instead of being left with Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem does not deserve that seat, as he supports the Epstein class and fails to call for impeachment. Next, in Michigan, a spotlight for the U.S. Senate race there. Another election poisoned by AIPAC money and establishment misdirection. The best candidate is Abdul El-Sayed, the physician and co-author of the book Medicare for All, A Citizen's Guide. This is the best candidate in that race. Michigan's candidate filing deadline closes on May 26th, and they vote on August 4th. So there's still some time for this election, but it's important to keep an eye on it for now. I talked more about this race in my previous Secular Lefty Chat episode that reviewed the Illinois primary results. We need to avoid more losses like we had in Illinois. If you hadn't seen that episode yet, I recommend you go checking it out after finishing this video. The last candidate I want to spotlight is for the 1st District in my home state of Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania candidate filing deadline ended on March 10th. And secular lefty-approved candidate Lucia Simonelli has made the ballot. Another candidate who supports Medicare for All and impeaching Trump, she will be the candidate I vote for in the May 19th primary election in Pennsylvania's 1st District. My intention is to continue making videos in the series and for the channel. Feedback has shown there's an audience for this information, which I'm delighted to see. I want to continue to provide this information, but my time is very limited. Some of you have already started to support me on Patreon, and I am extremely grateful and thankful for your support. In order to make these videos full-time, I need more of you to consider doing the same, even if it's just $1 each month. The videos I make now are a result of the time spent after my other job. I don't have backing from the rich, and I have no desire to sell out for ad deals and nonsense like that. Please consider supporting me on my Patreon. Your help is greatly appreciated. If you help me reach the goal of $4,000 a month, I can do this full time, and I'll stop with these Patreon plugs. Nebraska votes on May 12th, along with West Virginia. The West Virginia review video will be the next video released. Soon after that, I hope to get the videos made for Louisiana, who votes on May 16th, and the next 6 states that vote on May 19th, hopefully done in a decent time frame. Many of those states still require the research, which is no quick task either. But once they are released, be sure you have subscribed and ring that bell to be notified of my newest videos. If you found anything I said in today's video useful, please give it a like and share this everywhere. Together, we can make Americans more educated, and hopefully that will result in better election outcomes. Until the next video, please consider checking out my other work on this channel. I still need more watch hours to be eligible for the basic ad income on YouTube, so any additional watch time you can provide is also greatly appreciated. Thank you again for listening, and take care.